Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Pastor Gary, can I stand in the offering plate? That was how one of our stewardship campaigns ended one Sunday about 20 years ago. We had someone interrupt the service at different times, and that person and I would engage in a discussion about our giving, and what it meant. On this particular Sunday, we had moved beyond money to an idea of the stewardship of life. In other words, our call is to give not only our money, but ourselves to God. The last line of the conversation made that clear. Can I stand in the offering plate? Can I make a gift of myself to God? This week we are moving through the different parts of the temple in the time of Jesus, pointing out the things Jesus did in the various areas. Let me remind you that only certain kinds of people could go in certain areas of the temple. There was the court of priests, where priests could go and make sacrifices on behalf of the people. A little farther out was the court of Israel, where Jewish men could go. Separated by a wall with small windows then was the court of women. Jewish men could be there too, but Jewish women could go no deeper into the temple. They could see in through the windows, but that was all. Nevertheless, there is a well-known story about Jesus and what took place in this court of women. According to Mark 12, Jesus was accustomed to teaching there in the court of women, and that makes sense. In some ways, Jesus was very liberal for his time, offering respect and personhood to women in a culture that saw them as less than men. Being in the court of women allowed the women to hear and be with Jesus just like the men. So Mark 12 tells us that Jesus took a seat opposite the treasury and watched as people came in and placed their gift in the boxes. They took the place of the offering that we do in our churches today. This is how support was given to the temple and to God's work in the world. So Jesus sat down and watched as all this was happening, and since the temple treasury was in the court of women, we know that Jesus was there. Mark tells us, he sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance. But she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on." Now, you might think this is a story encouraging people to give money to the church, but that's not what this story is about at all. Yes, the church needs money. As I said, gifts like these offer support, but more importantly, they offer support for ongoing ministries and help for God's people. Collected together in this way, we can do more than we can on our own. So that's important, but not nearly so important as the point Jesus makes. You see, this story is really about trust. It's not about the amount of money that was given. It's about the trust that the poor widow showed. She gave everything she had. I guess first her actions demonstrate the importance of God in our lives. When God acts in our lives, we are called to respond. And that's what the poor widow did. More than that, she gave everything she had. She really trusted that God would care for and provide for her. Her job was to respond to God and then to abide in trust. When you hear this story, you have to think about the manna in the wilderness. Remember? They weren't to collect up extra for tomorrow. They were to collect up enough for today and depend on God for tomorrow. You also have to think about the Lord's Prayer when it says, "Give us this day our daily bread." We pray and trust that God will give us what we need for today. We pray and trust that God will provide for tomorrow as well. I wonder what we are saying with our full freezers, refrigerators, and pantries. What does it say about how we trust God? Now, I do think that one of the ways God provides for us daily bread in today's world is to give us abilities that allow us to purchase what we need. Nevertheless, the call to live in trust remains. It's a radical trust, one we don't often dare to live by. In the court of Israel, Jesus challenged people in their comfortable faith and invited them to be open to God as God is, and not as they expect God to be. In the court of women, Jesus issued a call to everyone, a call to radical, profound trust. And if you like, I'll even let you stand in the offering plate. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.